They said Gray paved the way, changed the rain, released the pain, least you sane, getting paid, trend setting, brighter days, doper rap, tighter sets, high in deli, I'm a fighter jet, journey.
What's good, everyone? We are back, new year, first show of the new year, Major League Pod. We are back with a big show, MLW looking to start the year off in a big way with Kings of Colosseum. That was January 6th at the time of this recording. It was the previous Saturday, and we got a bunch of stuff to cover on there. So in the meanwhile, of course, I didn't introduce people because I'm rusty at this stuff. I'm Rob Kammer, host of the MLW Confusion podcast. With me, the augury of Odd Lane Sign, Muffins Martinez. Muffins, how are you doing?
First of all, I don't even know what that word is. The first word you said, I've never heard that before, so hopefully it's something good, because I'm going to have to look it up later.
Breaking out the thesaurus this week.
Yes, or a dictionary or something, because I have no idea how to even spell it. So I'm going to have to start making something up and figure that out.
So there you go. Just take notes. Everybody take notes. Not only are you going to get the wrestling knowledge, you are going to get some verbal words in there as well.
Yes.
But this is a wrestling podcast, not a literary podcast. So Kings of Colosseum, that is like the only news, like really the only thing MLW's done in the last 2 weeks. It looks like they're going bi-weekly now instead of having a fusion every week. So I'm
from what I've seen is like going to be like every other Saturday.
Yeah,
like
that's
the weekly stuff on Triller, and then whatever the tapings they did before and after the pay-per-view, that'll be the free show on YouTube on Being Sports. So
yeah, I'm curious about that move. Like I personally, I'm not a fan of it. Like I think it's harder to sustain momentum that way, especially for a company the size of MLW. You do kind of need to have that constant wheel of promotion, especially for the bigger shows. And to be honest, MLW isn't always good at sustaining momentum when they're not on air. Like they have this nasty tendency to take their off seasons very seriously and do like the barest of bare minimums when they're not in the air. But I don't know, that's just me. If it works for them, great. It's all on YouTube. Well, outside of the being Triller stuff, or not the being the Fight TV Triller stuff.
yeah,
but yeah, whatever.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like you said, momentum. Bi-weekly, every 2 weeks. I don't know, man, but hopefully this is just something temporary, and now hopefully after May, June, they'll go back to some weekly stuff. But yeah, now that I say it looks like it's going to be like bi-weekly stuff. So
yeah, and as always, if you ask Court, he has something cooking. So something may be cooking. Maybe they're going to do a soft brand split, because we do have the return of Azteca in May. So maybe that's going to have something to do with it, or they're just going to do what they usually do and just alternate TV show names. So we'll have Fusion, Underground, Azteca, and then go back and forth. But really, as I said, like the big thing about this week has been the Kings of Colosseum. So let's jump right in. The show opens with the six-man tag trios action, if you will. Wasted Youth and Alec Price takes on the dastardly trio of Tony Deppen, TJ Crawford, and Griffin McCoy. What did you think about this year match, Muffins?
Loved it. Love a car crash inside the ring. Everybody flying from left to right. It looked smooth. It looked great. It was an amazing car crash. And, Wasted Youth, they're really getting pushed since the last two shows that they've been there. So I can't wait till they get their title match whenever that happens. But I really enjoyed this match, and it was a good opener to get things going. When I saw this match, I was thinking to myself, man, this show is going to be crazy. Didn't happen that way. So, a lot of matches kind of underwhelmed for me, but this match definitely got me excited for the rest of the night. And the right team won. Wasted Youth is getting pushed. I like that youth movement that they're pushing now with a lot of guys that we didn't know a couple of months ago. So I'm definitely looking forward to see how this is progressing with a lot of these young guys coming in. So
yeah, I agree. This is textbook opening contest, something to get the blood going, get you excited for the rest of the show. Yeah, as you said, like I think overall, I think the right team won because they are pushing Wasted Youth, and if you're going to have, it's not a good look to have your number one contenders take a fall, even if this is not like a a regular tag team match. I did think a couple things were rather interesting. One is this: they finally are really kind of putting over Alec Price on commentary. They routinely referred to him as having several viral moments within the match. And let's face it, that like double stomp into a tornado DDT was a nifty sight to behold. But yeah, so commentary put over Price pretty hard, in addition to obviously Wasted Youth having the match. The only thing that slightly disappointed me, and this is one of those like cases where regardless of my opinion, there's no winner within it, because but I think the team of Deppen, Crawford, and McCoy kind of need a win. Like just in general, just to really kind of cement that they are a dastardly team to beat. But again, but it shouldn't come at the expense of Wasted Youth. So what are you going to do there? Actually, like the fallout for this, like I'm actually really interested to see where things go in terms of the tag team titles the situation here. Just because Wasted Youth in ring, Wasted Youth are like the exact opposite of whatever incarnation of the second gear crew we're going to see, assuming it's the SCG or SGC, excuse me, that are getting that are holding the belts when Wasted Youth cash in. But like I'm curious to see how that match will play out, because the crew are just big brawler dudes. Like, yes, Justice takes to the air, but like his air is pretty rudimentary. Like he just gets up top and just falls on you. I mean, okay, he's a bit more graceful than that, but like he's not doing a moonsault. He's not doing 450s. He's dropping elbows. He's doing body presses. That sort of like. They are not innovators of offense. They are just a batch of ugly dudes who are just going to beat you up. And I'm not saying this match is going to be bad. Like, actually, as they like to throw out in MLW, styles make fights. So this is interesting. I'll have to dig it up. I didn't do extra research for this, really. But I'm curious, because I think at least Manders has some history with Wasted Youth, but I'll have to look that up. Just because they're both Northeast guys now. But no, it was agreed. Like, it was a great match to get the crowd going, start the night off hot. No complaints there. So you said the right guys won, and yeah, that's I think covered kind of like all we need about that. Could be wrong. I don't know. Next, going down my list of things. About the next thing we really need to talk about is the next match, which happens to be the Featherweight Championship match. Hyper Masao of TJPW in Japan takes on Promociones Doradas Janai Kai with Salina de la Renta. This match, I'm not as harsh of this match as some people have been. I thought it was a perfectly serviceable match. But like for me, like the real like letdown overall for it was just kind of, we'll say, the booking of the featherweights in general. Janai Kai's facing a monster of the week almost, just kind of like people are just showing up, and like, yeah, they may deserve the title because of like who they were elsewhere, but you gotta kind of do your research for that. No, like I would like to see Janai Kai face someone in MLW, or on top, or barring that, to get a little bit more than just one hype package for whomever the opponent's going to be, because we only saw one hype video for Hyper Masao, and like it really didn't do that great of a job to explain who she was. Like overall, like it was a good like one-time intro, but you needed to kind of evolve that introduction as well. So we just got like the same hype package over and over, which did next to nothing for actually educating your viewer. Like as I said, like the match was fine, but it was just kind of a letdown for being just fine and just, having like, I know it's a big deal for MLW to have these partnerships, but if you're not going to like help us figure out who these people are, you're not doing that. You're not doing the match. You're doing the match a disservice. And since the match itself didn't blow anyone out of the water, like we really don't understand why Hyper Masao got the title shot as compared to like anybody else in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the last two shows, Janai Kai has been going against two monsters, good talents. I love the partnership with TJPW. Why this specific person got a title match, I have no clue, like you said. I was very disappointed with the match. It looked more like a comedy after a while, with Hyper, especially the one thing that she did with the bicycle, that she gets on the bike and goes across the ring, riding a bike for a clothesline. I'm like,
Well, I figure if Tom Lawler or Braun Strowman can do a lap around the ring on foot, do something like the bicycle. Yeah, the bicycle's a little much, but like,
it took so long to kind of her to get to her pedaling.
That was my complaint. It took like a half hour, get the spot going.
I don't think she's gonna be waiting for you there this whole time while you're trying to figure out how to pedal your own bike.
Yeah, and I will like interrupt just briefly to point out this seemed to be kind of a quasi reoccurring theme throughout the night. Like one of the things I noticed is like some of the pacing in a lot of the matches seemed to be off, where like we had these spots that took way too long to set up, whether it was the bike spot or in our next match having our ringboard chair pyramid thing, and just like kind of like really disrupted the flow of some of these matches.
Yeah, I was disappointed with this specific featherweight match. All the ones they've done before have been awesome. The one for next month, I don't know whoever she's going to wrestle. Hopefully, it will be better than this one. But I like that they're bringing people from a different company to, go for the title. But hopefully next month it'll be someone from the States. I'm surprised they still haven't brought anybody from CMLL, female-wise, to challenge. So, but hopefully that will happen soon. I'm still waiting for anybody from MLW to go to TJPW and wrestle there, like Janai Kai, or even the last champion,
WXO.
WXO, to go up there. That will feel like a regular or real partnership there. But all we're seeing is people coming from CMLL and from TJPW, but no one from here going to either of those places, except for Rocky Aurora, who already wrestles there. So
right, yeah. And I honestly I would like to see like a little bit more interaction with the current featherweight roster too. In terms of title matches, the actual roster seems to be taking a back seat to whomever they're bringing in. And I know they're dropping hints at Zeta Steel, or at least she's asking for a title shot, and it hasn't been quite granted yet, but I something seems to be going on with WXO, kind of sort of, but they haven't elaborated on that yet. And she's not gotten a proper rematch. She had the triple threat match with Tiara James, but they haven't
Tiara James.
Yeah, but they haven't put too much stock in their own featherweights, it seems like. I mean, they brought in a couple of folks too, in the peripherally, and they're not doing much with Magnificent Mimi and whatnot.
Yeah. And she's going to be there at the show in 2 weeks. She has a match there, so at least they're using some of the indie females to come in from Monster Factory, so that's a good thing. But all I'm seeing them is take losses. I haven't seen them, get a win yet. So.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a revolving door. They're not really building anyone up within MLW to unseat Kai, which is not great. I mean, yeah, you can probably pull a surprise card again, kind of how Kai came in and won the title, but I also don't see the point of having a division if you're not going to build the division to a point where they should be able to be contenders for the title properly.
You know,
especially
and
once again, especially with the last champion still a part of the roster.
Yeah, and then you have Becca, who was going to be the one who's going to take the title match, and then everything, don't know what happened with Becca, and kind of fell the wheels after that. When we're getting this specific different challenges every month from TJPW female, so
right. And so I don't know. Again, I'm not going to complain too much as long as the match quality holds up. And yes, comparatively speaking, I feel like this one was a downer. But I also will note that the featherweights have been putting out bangers. So at some point, a drop off is going to happen. They can't all be A pluses. Sometimes
this was definitely a drop off.
Yeah. But I didn't think it was outside of the bike spot, and I didn't hate the bike spot. I just hated how long it took to do it.
Yeah, it took long.
But I didn't hate the use of the bicycles, and I'm not taking it as harshly as a whole as some of the other folks on the interwebs. But whatever. But speaking of, but to bring things up, our match following this was for the tag team championships, as the Second Gear Crew, represented by Matthew Justice and the One Called Manders, takes on WTF's Tom Lawler and Joshua Bishop. What'd you think, Muffins?
I'll be honest, I actually enjoyed this match. I mean, even though I'm not too keen on that type of matches, tables all over the place, chairs, and all that kind of shit going back and forth. What's the young kid's name who looks like Sid Vicious?
Bishop. He
looks like Sid Vicious Jr. So, just do a little more sit-ups and you'll get there to look just like him. He for being new, he definitely has a lot of power. He took a lot of spots there, especially when Justice went up, and I think he was going to do the Hurricane Rana on Justice, and Justice turned it around and went to the tables.
Yeah,
I actually thought WTF was going to get the titles, to be honest with you. I was like, okay, we're going to see some title changes. It didn't happen, which I was surprised by it, but happy that it didn't happen. But yeah, I was very impressed with the whole match. It was clean. I loved it. Good destruction all over the place. And the kid, I forgot his name again.
Joshua Bishop.
Yeah, Bishop. I want to keep saying Joseph, but it's Bishop. Yeah, so Vicious Jr. Yeah, he definitely impressed me. So I'm looking forward to those guys moving forward and see where they go. I mean, I was thinking they were going to win the tag team belt, and they didn't. So what's going to happen next month? Where do they go from here as a tag team? So.
And I think that is the big question overall, especially when it comes to WTF. I'll go back to the match here in a bit, but since you kind of brought it up, where do we go next? I feel like that's a big question for WTF in general, because that has been the nature of the beast. At best, they seem to do they will pick up matches, when the lights aren't quite so bright. Bishop beat Justice technically, last month. And Cardona's had pretty good results except for the world title match. But as a whole, WTF really has not done much of anything for trying to launch this sports entertainment takeover of the company. And it's kind of getting to the point where they do need some sort of big signature win to kind of justify their existence. I know that a lot of the MSL stuff is played for laughs, but you have guys in that stable that can go. I mean, obviously Lawler is a former world champion in MLW. Richard Holiday is a perennial, upper mid-carder, a guy you probably should be strapping the rocket to be quite frank. And then Zeta, who's cutting her teeth in MLW, so they got the featherweight division covered too, and Bishop, who's showed that he can go. And quick little fact for anyone who isn't aware, who's extra surprised about his teamwork, he's cut his teeth in the business as a member of a tag team. He's actually a regular member of a team called the Rip City Shooters out east, primarily in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh area. So the dude's got a tag team pedigree to him as well, in addition to being now the primary muscle for WTF. But yeah, so I was more surprised how well Lawler and him worked together as a team as well. But yeah, what do you do for WTF? Because they're choking in these big match situations, and I mean this is late enough that I think I can spoil it, especially this early in the show. Spoiler alert: Richard Holiday didn't win the world championship either. So it's getting kind of hard to take WTF as an actual threat.
Yeah.
And which given the nature of the talents within WTF, that's kind of a shame. But going to the match itself, this is the brawling and car crash stuff that I love. So I was totally fine with the match itself. Outside of them having to build the contraptions, I think everything was just everything you'd want in a hard hitting ringside brawl. Especially I don't give the man flowers very often, but the chop off between Manders and Bishop.
Yeah,
was just insane. I am impressed. I don't know how they managed to pull it off without their chests totally looking like hamburgers, just standing there, just chopping. I know Bishop's chest looked pretty gnarly, but it wasn't the open wounds gnarly as they were really kind of going to.
Chop off.
Yeah, they had that. Oh, big chop off. And then Manders ducked out and Justice came back and came in and continued, and which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I did but I think with the amount of plunder involved, that it did allow Bishop to shine. I did think, especially with Manders getting dumped towards the end, that that the titles were going to change, because I thought okay, here we go, 2-on-1, here's where we go down. And then Lawler
really happened.
Yeah, and then Lawler got dumped pretty quick right after that too. We're so yeah, and then an auxiliary comment to where do we go from here? Assuming the second year crew keep those titles, I'm interested at this face versus face matchup. That was reason number 2 why I thought WTF was going to win the titles in this match, was because Wasted Youth are pure baby faces, and now you have the Dastardly Heel team with the titles to so they can play off of each other on that front. And it's not second year crew haven't had their share of face versus face matches. I mean, to be fair, they won the titles from a face versus face match against the new Samoan SWAT team. So they'll fight anyone. It's fine. But I was just kind of curious about that as well. And something we end up glossing over before I move along. I just want to throw out there Zeta done got herself killed in that match too. What kind of man? What kind of man lariats a woman? And it's not even a bodybuilder-esque woman like Steph DeLander.
Yes,
Zeta is a normal-sized woman, and
that's your boy Manders.
Yeah, the big bad cowboy is just running around lariating women.
And hopefully you'll take your revenge on him next week.
There we go. Sidebar on that, ladies and gentlemen. Next weekend is the MLW Confusion sponsored Prestige Rumble at CW Pro Bluegrass Coliseum, marking the return home of the one called Manders. So going to have my revenge this time. He has murked me twice before.
Yeah.
Last
time he ran you off the premises. So
no, that was the first time. Last time he gave me an autograph.
Okay.
Last time he said he was sorry and then gave me the worst autograph ever.
Yeah, and then the first time he ran you off, I was like, wow, that's not a good look.
Yeah, but he was drunk. I'll make sure he's sober this time.
All right.
I'm not going to beat up a drunk man. That's not a fair fight.
That might be the only way you might beat him is when he's drunk. You never know. So now, wasn't the next match another hardcore match?
Yeah, the next match they jumped right into it as they were cleaning up, but it was the Taipei Death match between the former calling members Akira and Ricochet Page for the National Openweight Championship. Akira doesn't even wait; he just barges down there and he's like, "I want Ricochet Page right now." And Ricochet Page is like, "Okay, I like bleeding," and they come and have a match.
No.
Yeah,
I can't have two hardcore matches back to back like that. I get turned off quick. And then this looked like a bloodbath. I mean, there was blood everywhere. I mean, especially from Shane Page. I mean, this dude was just bleeding. I'm thinking to myself, this looks like the Hangman Page against Strickland match from a couple of weeks ago up by AEW. I'm surprised none of them started, drinking each other's bloods. Like, give me a cup of your blood, and you can take a cup of my blood, and we'll drink it together. We say cheer and drink. But yeah, the only thing I liked about this match was towards the ending when Callahan came out and joined the calling, and now the calling looks like a threat because of Callahan. Callahan being there gives the calling a better, mastermind behind that. Since Raven's been gone, Raven, came in, started this group. We never saw him again, after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Never saw him again. Then Delirious, Mandeleon got married, and they're still in the honeymoon because nobody's seen them since. So, and then it was just, the calling was just flapping around. Now you see Callahan, who is a mastermind sadistic monster, hopefully either being the leader or just kind of meshing with the rest of the guys. So now they will really look like a threat now. So that was the only part of the whole match that I liked.
Yeah. I didn't mind the match, but then again, I am all for the deathmatch stuff.
Yeah.
So like that didn't hurt my feelings much on that one. But the only thing I really complained about off of it was that like you couldn't tell that they had glass on their tape. What they should have done is done like beer bottles, or some sort of color glass, so you could see the shards on the tape. Like, I mean, we got enough close-ups that we got to see the glass on the tape, but like it didn't have that visual pop. Like if you didn't already know this was a Taipei death match, you probably would have forgotten, at least initially. And so that was just, I mean, that wasn't a big misstep. Like it was fine. One of the things that did kind of like, I don't want to say turn me off to it, but like the camera work in this match, comparatively speaking, it just wasn't quite as great. Like evidently whomever the director was for this has not covered a lot of these sorts of matches. Because there were a handful of times where we blatantly caught people gigging themselves on camera. I can't remember the exact spot where Akira was cutting himself, but you could see him going at his forehead. Whereas Ricky Shane Page was in an ankle lock, and like the camera was like pretty darn close, and you'd watch him, Ricky Shane Page like, no, no, cut away, focus on Akira, or come out or something. Like we're watching
closer to the knife.
We're watching them cut themselves. Like that is taking me out of that is suspending my disbelief. That is causing me to not suspend my disbelief anymore. Like I don't have a problem with people cutting themselves. Like that's expected in this. But it was just the fact that we're watching the dude actively doing it. Yeah.
Well, the only part
pulling the curtain back.
Yeah, only thing was when Akira was down and he put the two chairs with the glass in the middle, and Shane Page jumped through the glass right on Akira. I thought that shit was crazy right there. I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I mean, I don't know this. I mean, I know the glass is crap, but still, man, that was kind of crazy. Watching it up. But other than that, that was like the only two times that I popped was that one and when Callahan came out.
See, that's one of those spots that like, I hate, just because I think because it's a shower and you can't properly protect your eyes like with that, and and then like. And glass that powders like that is horrible. Here we'll get into TMI stuff when it comes to playing with glass. We'll break the hat out for this. I was in attendance of the King of the Death matches, Idaho Mid-South. I believe it was 2009, I believe. I can check that up later. But we had a fans bring their weapons match. And because I am a horrible person, I brought what I called a cotton maiden. For this was just a t-shirt that I coated with glue, smashed a bunch of, because I don't like cool drinks, a bunch of Mike's Hard bottles, smashed them all up and glued them to the shirt. What I didn't realize was like how like glass actually like slivers in that amount. So like I would do it, and like a glass dust would like get in my hand, and then like my hand would be sore for like the next 3 days as I'm trying to like as my body's trying to get the little glass splinter out that I couldn't even bloody see. So like sometimes seeing that glass kind of stuff just getting in my hand, like I'm not even taking it to the back or anything. Like I'm not a real worker or anything like that. I just like I'm going like, ow, this is stuck, and now it's gonna hurt me 3 days. And like Akira got showered with glass, like all up his torso. Ricky Shane Page like jumped off, broke the glass, and then landed in it. Like that part, like, oh dear, that hurt. That hurt to watch.
Stuff like that is too much for me. I'm like, oh Lord, it looked cool, but come on now.
But yeah, but to go to your point of Callahan being back, like this excites me for the calling. Like I don't know how well he fits or we'll call it the original aesthetic for it, but like he's gonna bring a new life to it. Because one, he's gonna be involved in creative, and so like regardless of how you feel about Sami Callahan in ring, like he's got a good mind to him, and he's very well respected for his creative output. If you need examples for this, I mean, obviously you could check out Impact, where he's had a big hand in, but he runs the Wrestling Revolver, Pro Wrestling Revolver, that alternates usually between Des Moines, Iowa, and Dayton, Ohio, but they do spot shows all around the country. They're coming like pretty soon to Texas, I believe. But like he that is his promotion. That is his driving force. And if you have the Fight Plus Triller subscription, you can watch it. It's so it comes included in that. If so you don't have to necessarily spend extra money if you've already got that. But yeah, so I'm curious. Like I am glad to see. Like hopefully the calling will get like a new life force to it, because it's been just the Ricky Shane Page show really ever since Raven left, and it hasn't done a whole lot, especially now that Akira's broken away. We're just left with disappearing members and Jeff Cannonball, and
a bunch of skinny guys in masks.
Yeah. So hopefully this will kind of right the ship of where the calling's going, or if nothing else, take it in a new sadistic, twisted direction. Only one way to find out. I just know that at least based on the social media, Akira is not done with everybody yet.
That's what he says. So we'll find out what happens next.
We shall. But yeah, so we did get the brief announcement that MLW its Reload will be January 20th. That's the next big event in there, so just throw it out there because we did touch on it earlier. Following this is our popcorn match, I'm going to call it, just because of how short it was. But Brett Ryan Goslin, Notorious BRG versus Love Doug in a Love is Blind Fold match. Shaking your head, guessing 2 matches in a row have struck out.
I've never understood this specific match ever in any company that I've seen this match happen. Like, you can't see anything supposedly, but you're able to come out with 2 perfect clotheslines at the same time. You can't see anything, and then one gets to cheat, pull the mask off so he can see what's going on. Almost gets to win, but then Love Doug comes out of nowhere and does his move and gets the win. Like, what was the point of this match? Why you couldn't just have a regular wrestling match? Do something else, like grab the pole or something, make it a real wrestling match. But yeah, this was just the weirdest thing I ever seen. They should have saved this for the Reload show and do it there instead of having it on this pay-per-view here. But yeah, I mean, he wasted time of 2 guys that I'm trying to see how they go forward and wrestle and see if they have any good talent, because we already seen Love Dog go a couple of times already, but I haven't seen much of the other guys. So
yeah, I'm curious.
This is definitely underwhelmed for me.
I'm definitely interested in where they decided blindfold was the way to go for this match.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, like I understand them not wanting to do it like another hardcore brawl, because we just come off like back to back. So you need a palate cleanser of a match.
But you have a regular match.
Yeah, like regular match, or if you're going to do something, maybe boot it from the show and let one of the other teams have another have a match.
Yeah, you put a speculation. If Love Dog wins, he gets a day with Becca.
Yeah. I will say that they at least kept the match short and sweet.
Yes.
It was the shortest match of the night. And one thing that I did really like was going into the ending where Goslin lost Doug, couldn't find him, and then he put the blindfold back on, so he like legit couldn't see Doug.
Yeah.
But he made enough bloody noise that the dead could crawl out of their coffin and go find him like that. So like there was they actually did play that part, I thought, rather well, is that he just made so much bloody noise, like anybody could have found him. So like they made that work. Like, yes, the double clothesline spot, like, okay, that one that was pretty tongue in cheek, but but the finish I thought was actually very well done for a blindfold match.
I was just glad it was done.
But it was short and sweet. I felt like overall it was inoffensive. So I think it was meant more as the bathroom palate cleanser match, because we had those two hardcore brawls with a lot of stuff going on with it. And then up next we are going to have our dual main events plus a big announcement for the World Heavyweight Championship coming into the next show. Plus we actually got a big announcement after this as well, of that Mystico is coming to MLW. So looks like he is going to have a go at Promociones Dorada, which Salina de la Renta has no clue like how he showed up. They didn't go through her. So we have this extra little, like, we're getting layers to this here onion as well. And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on it, but we might as well just go through it all now anyway. But yeah, so Salina is supposed to have the monopoly on bringing in luchadores to MLW, and someone is bringing Mystico in without her knowledge.
Yes.
And then with the little package with it, there's also there's a little bit of dissension in the ranks. So because Rocky Romero, Azucar's like, hey, you got Azucar, like that's all you need to take out take out a pesky luchador. And Selena's like, yes, I do have someone that can take care of this, Averno.
Yes.
And Rocky's like
what? Oh no. Well,
so,
I was excited for this for many reasons. This right here is the beginning of the sprinkles of Cesar Duran making his comeback, hopefully at the May show, since it's going to be an Azteca show. So they're slowly dropping the clues of Cesar Duran coming in. Now you get one of the biggest attractions in Mexico being Mystical. And people, I don't know if people know, and you should put your hat on. Mystical was always in CMLL, and then he left, went to WWE, became Sin Cara, and they had a different wrestler become Mystical too. And then after Sin Cara got released, he went back to Mexico, where he became Mysticis in the meantime. And once the guy who was Mystical 2 left, he was able to get his crown back as the original Mystico again.
Okay, so, I didn't know that part of it, because I knew that there were two Mysticos technically running around.
Yes.
But
so he came back as Mysticis.
Yeah.
But because he couldn't take over the mantle because somebody had it, once the guy left and went somewhere else, he was able to take the mantle back as the original Mystical. So now there's only one Mystical there now, which is the original guy from the beginning, back in 2011, 2010, whenever he was, doing the Mystical thing. So
yeah, and which makes me happy. And I haven't I haven't completely kept up with him, but at one point he was considered, like, pound for pound, one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yes,
and if not the best wrestler in the world, he was at least the best high flyer.
And that's what, when he went to WWE, because like you said, all the hype was on him being one of the best high flyers, and then he became Sin Cara, and unfortunately, it didn't settle in WWE. For what reason, I don't know why, but
I think it's a combination of, some of this is rumor. Like there is rumor. Part of the rumor is that he's got a terrible attitude.
Okay.
And so, like, he wasn't willing to play a lot of ball with the WWE stuff. That's just rumor conjecture. That's not opinion. But two, like, there is, at least stylistically, like, a bit of a jump between traditional American wrestling and lucha.
Yes.
And, like, really, like, there was only, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 guys in the company who had been trained proper in lucha. And one of them was Alberto Del Rio, who had no interest in working with him. So like one of the guys who could lucha wasn't going to help the guy either. And so it was kind of like, I think it was kind of a perfect storm of like, nobody knows how to work like you do, so you can't do the stuff you're good at.
Yeah.
And then he's also not willing to make any adaptations either, is basically what I heard. Like he was dead set against learning any English, which is unfortunately if you're going to go to WWE, unfortunately, you're going to have to learn at least a little bit of English. I mean, maybe not so much now because they've let Shinsuke Nakamura do whatever weird things with his promos now, but like Shinsuke's got pretty good English anyway.
And even Damage Control with the girls, all Japanese, they're talking now Japanese, put a little English here and go back to Japanese. I noticed that more. And some of the girls who speak Spanish, the same thing. They go back and forth between English and Spanish. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess now it doesn't really matter if you know the whole language right now. But back then when McMahon was in charge, it was a different story. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, with McMahon and Kevin Dunn, like those are two of the most like weirdly xenophobic.
And both of those guys are, one is gone and the other's about to leave, Kevin Dunn. So we got a lot of stuff going on with Promociones Dorado too, and like I am down for it, especially if it involves the return of Cesar Duran, mostly because it will make my wife happy, because it's one of the few things in wrestling that makes my wife happy. She loves herself some Cesar Duran, Dario Cueto. Dario, yes. So. Yeah, but Mystico coming here, I mean, the original Mystico coming to the States and being in MLW for CMML, that's going to be huge. And is that also in Philly or New York?
That one I don't remember.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be
Super. I wrote down at Super Fight, but I don't remember where Super Fight is. I just wrote down at Super Fight in my original.
I can't wait till they leave Philly, man. God, I'm sick of Philly.
And they'll be doing. And it looks like they're going to be doing that at least quasi long term. They're doing New York. They're going back to Florida, and then they're going to Chicago.
Yes,
at least.
So hopefully they're going to be out of this area. And I'm surprised they don't have anything set up for WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, like I feel like that's a missed opportunity. Because everyone in their even promotions that don't have a base, anywhere near WrestleMania, like one of the quasi local promotions, like that's like 45 minutes from my house, that's like they run at a town for a town of like a couple thousand people, maybe 10,000 max, and they don't travel like more than 50 miles. Like that's their territory, 50 miles. Like they go to wherever WrestleMania is going to be at and have shows.
So they'll be there.
I don't know about this year. I haven't paid that much attention, and they haven't run quite as many shows, especially now that Dreamwave, which runs pretty close by, is back, and Dreamwave is kind of one of the bigger super indies around anymore. But so Mystico,
Super Fight, right?
Yeah, Super Fight.
Let's see what we got.
As I'm rattling on incoherently, Muffin's doing the research.
Yeah, it's going to be in Philly again.
We're going to be in Philly.
So then the one in March is going to be in New York.
Yeah. Super Fight will be great and all, but in terms of big gimmick fights, War Chamber is where I'm at, man. That and Battle Riot, two of my favorite MLW events, but that's neither here nor there. That's stalling for time that we don't need to because we're not on TV or anything like that. So whatever, we can move along. But Mystico's coming in. It's going to be great. Averno's coming in. Going to be great. What also could be great are part one of our dual main events. Richard Holiday of WTF making his in-ring return to MLW, looking to take the title from the Bomaye Fight Club and Alex Kane. What did you think?
I was surprised this was the second and not the last main event. The match of the night. I was really surprised about that.
It should have been.
I was surprised.
But I don't know. I'm of the opinion that if you have a world title fight, that should be your proper main event, unless you're doing some stupid little lights out thing that doesn't count for the records and is not sanctioned by the company.
Yeah,
I feel like your world title, it should be the main attraction, and I will roll my eyes right now. I get why they didn't, but it should have been, especially with a return of like an MLW product
Yes.
in terms of Richard Holiday.
Yes.
Like I thought the match didn't have quite the big fight feel as some of Kane's other matches, I thought. But it was good. I really thought that Holiday was going to get it a couple times, especially when he's hitting the stock market crash.
Yes.
The 2008. And then they lost me at really towards the end. They kind of lost me when they started doing all the interference and ref bump stuff, because that stuff wasn't needed at all. Especially if you're gonna have Kane, if you're gonna have Kane retain, you really didn't need to do all that stuff.
And the funny thing is, you could see the ref bump coming. You could see the way the ref was going, and I'm thinking, just, oh God, please, not a ref bump. You don't need this now. And boom, I'm like, come on, dude. And then he's knocked out for the next 5 minutes, which wasn't even that bad of a hit at that. And I'm thinking, you don't need that now. I mean, and you can see it getting set up for the ref bump. Dude, no, not now. And I really, really thought Holiday was going to win this match. So my question that I have now, and I said this earlier, and I'm going to ask you, where does WTF go from here? Is Richard Holiday going to be here for a while? Did he just come in just for this, and then he's going to leave now again? Or that was my questions that I had afterwards. So I'm going to ask you, where does WTF go from here when both of their matches for titles they lost?
Yeah, I honestly really don't know what you do with WTF at this point. They have continued outside of some of Cardona's victories, they've really just kind of choked time after time. And some of the matches were more we'll say for show, Tom Lawler's Satoshi Kojima match.
Yes.
That was just there to bring Kojima back, and Lawler was kind of a good guy to do it. It told a good story in ring and then out of the ring as well. But they've had all this opportunity, especially with Saint Laurent being the promoter, the wheeler and dealer of professional wrestling, and his guys aren't taking over anything. The only thing that's being taken over is bottles of champagne by Filthy Tom and chalices of M&Ms by MSL. I don't they're kind of a joke now, and that makes me sad to say, because they have this killer roster of folk throughout the time. When the party started, it was Davey Boy Smith Jr., which obviously is out with injury. Gene Snitsky was there for one show and then effed off. But those are two hardcore guys. Hardcore guys. They brought in Matt Cardona, who outside of his feud with Mance Warner couldn't bring home the title, and now it looks like he's done with the company, which he got. He did good for the length he was there. No complaints on that. Hammer returned and turned on everyone to join WTF, and now he's gone again.
Yes.
They brought in Holiday.
Yeah.
I assume Holiday's going to be here for a bit, but what, but again, where do you go with these things? And I really just don't know if they're just kind of there for these weird comedy segments with MSL, and then they just let their guys go in and have bangers of matches, and then they let Josh Bishop wreck everyone, so at least they can stand tall after they lose. I really don't know, and it as a wrestling fan, it makes me sad, because as much as MLW does love their we're taking over heel stables, you actually have a roster of awesome guys within this stable. It's not no offense and truly intended to the Calling, but the Calling was running roughshod with lesser profile talent. In addition to all the masked beatings backstage and all that, and not even counting that stuff, the Calling held most of the titles in MLW at one point, and WTF, who had at various points 2 former MLW champions on their roster, can't do anything. I don't know, man. I really don't know what you do from there, or if it's just kind of there to so MSL can have goofy little segments backstage or not.
I don't know.
And the sad thing is they keep getting these shots in the arm. Like they keep getting these metaphorical Sammy Callahans, if we're going to use the calling as an example. Because again, they had a shot in the arm with Matt Cardona. They had a shot in the arm with Hammerstone. They had another shot in the arm with Holiday, and
now they have a shot in the arm now with the bro guy.
Bishop and
the main event guy who wrestled Mike Riddle.
Well, but is he a
shot in the arm?
I could say, is he a WTF guy though, or is he just?
No, but I'm saying the company's getting a shot in the arm though.
Oh yeah, no, the company, like, despite my misgivings about WTF, like MLW is on the upswing in general.
Yeah.
And I've tried, and up until this past week, I've been waving the banner of like, hey everyone, MLW's getting good again. Like, you guys got to check it out. But yeah, so like where we go with WTF, like I have no bloody idea. I really don't. Just because.
Well, we can segue to the main event and let's go with that one, because
that's about all I can say about it. Like I don't know where to go with it. So we have our main event of the evening.
Yes.
Awesome. And I'm going to talk first, if you don't mind, Muffins, about it, because what I am going to say is going to, if you allow it to stay in the show, is going to be a massive downer, and we need someone to pick things up a bit after I'm done talking. So our true main event was the Ultimate Bro Matt Riddle taking on Jacob Fatu. I am going to dwell on this. But I'm not going to talk about the match, really. So I'm going to start the party with, it upset me on multiple levels that Jacob Fatu took the L here.
Yes.
Because they had just started getting Jacob Fatu back on track after he was eating a bunch of losses and kind of losing some of his monster aura. Just for him to tap out to the new flavor of the week. I like that. Like you built him back up just to feed him to someone else when he could be like a main event staple for however long you need him to be, however long he's going to stay with the company. And you just, like, big picture, he will probably be fine from this. But it upset me that we went through this. They used him to send Hammer home, send him away just for him to be murked the next show. Like, that upset me. But not as much as the whole concept of the match itself. Now, I am not going to I am going to lightly touch on the allegations that have been brought forth to Matt Riddle. But what really upset me, not just as a wrestling fan, but as a person who actually bothers to care about other people, is the commentary for that match. Matt Striker did no services for MLW. And like, this is the thing, like, regardless of what you thought of the show, what people are talking about is not, Alex Kane retaining, the return of Richard Holiday, the bloodbath. They're talking about Matt Striker flat out defending someone who was accused of domestic violence, sexual assault, hard drug use, and whatever went on with TSA. Like, and not just like, oh, like, I'm going to praise him because he's in our company. Like, he flat out, and I have one direct quote right here, is, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And the court of public opinion would like to see Jacob Fatu slap the taste out of Matt Riddle's mouth. But the court of public opinion does not convict. I'm sorry. I know it's the world in which we live, and it's not the case. Like, there was no reason for that statement. And then there was no reason to, like, he flat out said, I don't care what the man has done. Why would you ever let him go? Dude, the guy, like, again, these are allegations, not in the court. Dude was accused of sexual assault. And then, again, his last months in the WWE, like, brought kind of a black eye to the company. Like, why would you bring this stuff out in the open, especially in the main event, in a card where people are going to have eyes specifically on this match? Because either A, they want to see that man, or B, they want to see the dumpster fire that MLW is known to be. And MLW went with the latter. MLW has, like, Matt Striker, either with MLW's permission, said those things, or B, he went out on his own and like something like he gave a black eye for the company. I'm not going to be a guy that's going to call for Matt Striker's job. I am not going to do that. But he gave a very visible black eye for the company. And like as a person, like this upsets me to like put someone accused of the things that Mick Riddle has done where he's, you know, what he's done. And like I can't defend things like that. The problem, that's the problem, is I can't defend that. I can't be like, hey guys, go check out MLW when Matt Striker's on IR going, I don't care what that man's done. Yeah, don't let someone like Matt Riddle go. I'm like, dude,
yeah.
If you look at the statistics, I would say, you know, at least half of the women you know have been sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. And this is what you're going to do with a guy who's been blatantly accused of it. And then just the kicker to all this is within 12 hours of Matt Striker doing this, he's had at least one accusation of sexual misconduct. I want MLW to do better because I can't, like, as a fan, I can't, it's hard for me to defend MLW as a promotion that's getting itself right when the commentary is how it was. So like even ignoring the Matt Riddle part of the match itself, just basically commentary just flat out saying we don't care what the man may have done, you got to get someone like him. And I'm hoping that's just Striker going out on himself and he wasn't fed those lines, because man, that's a hard look. Yeah. And like I really, like, I do what I can, and I'll segue out of this and you can talk about the match or however you want to rebuttal this. But like it is very hard to continue to support the company when things like this are allowed to happen. And and like you guys know on this show, I am I don't necessarily sugarcoat things, but I try to see the silver lining. Even the blindfold match, you hated the blindfold match. I'm like, hey, well, it was short and sweet. It was a popcorn match. Yeah. You know, oh, I don't like all the blood. Well, you know, at least we got Sami Callihan out of it, or you know, for what it was pretty good. I can't defend this. I can't find the silver lining in this to tell you to go look at this. I can't do that in this situation. And I'm not going to call for anybody's job. I'm not going to, you know, metaphorically cancel anyone that I haven't already threatened to do for. But this really, like, real talk. You Muffins, the viewer, you know, Court Bauer, if you happen to be watching this, I know some MLW guys do check this out. It really made me rethink my fandom. And I apologize for bringing the show down, but if the only thing people are talking about out of Kings of Colosseum is Matt Striker's commentary during the main event, I think we've done something wrong.
Yeah. Well, you know, hey, like we said before, this is a real show. We talk real stuff, and we are all our own point of views and our opinions, and we say what we feel, and you say what you felt. And I applaud you for doing that. You know, there's definitely no silver lining here whatsoever. All I could say is Striker said what he said. He went and apologized, you know, later on Twitter.
And then he retracted it.
Yeah, of course. You know. But what's got to happen is Court Bauer needs to take a stand now and suspend him, you know, for a month, for a while or something.
He needs to at least acknowledge it, I think.
Yeah, exactly, because he hasn't yet. He hasn't said anything yet, or I haven't seen anything being acknowledged by him. But, yeah, you know, say something like, the views of my Striker are not ours. He was not fed this type of lines. He went, you know, he was doing his commentary job, and he was tone deaf and just said what he thought needed to be said to bring more light to the match. I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out.
And I think that is something else that it isn't a good look for MLW, is the fact
Yeah.
that they've remained completely silent with it. And I know you shouldn't always feed the neckbeards, but when the neckbeards are going after something very specific, that was done on air, I think you do need to address this.
So
even like, yes, people poo-poo it, but at least just a statement that you acknowledge its existence.
Yeah, Carbauer needs to come out with a statement, say something, do this, do that. He needs to get suspended. He needs to get sent to a class, diversity class, sexual harassment class. They do that stuff, and have them do something, say something to kind of clear this up and kind of fix this mess. Because right now it's a black eye, like you mentioned, for the company. Like, how are we supposed to follow a company when you have this one guy going rogue? Because either you fed him the lines or he went rogue. So then people are going to go, well, how are you going to let somebody go rogue? Just say whatever he wants to say on a televised show, or if he got fed the lines, how can you let somebody feed him this kind of lies? So either or, somebody's going to be guilty of either or. So regarding of what happens, we do have to talk about the match. The match was a great match. I love the match. I was surprised by the ending. I wasn't expecting Riddle to win, especially not choking out Fatu. But it is what it is, and now we'll see what happens. I mean, is Riddle going to be here next month? Are they going to cut ties with him now after this happens? Is Corbauer going to come out and say something, or he's just going to let it blow over? Something needs to happen to make us fans feel better about the company that we are talking about, because we can sit here and talk about the company that we love to watch and try to defend it when something so blatantly happened on their main event, and we have to sit here and pretend like it didn't happen, because it did happen. It's all over the place. So, something definitely needs to happen with Max Striker, or something with Riddle. He needs to get suspended, even though it's not Riddle's fault. I'm not, It's not
and
fault.
I will. This is about as close to defense I'll come out at. This one has nothing to do with Matt Riddle. Do I think Matt Riddle was a good signing? No, I don't. But he's here now, and there's no point in retroactively punishing him for that. I'm not happy with it. I'm handling it in my own way, but Matt Striker is where we put on our put on our societal headphones and just chose to go I didn't hear anything.
Well, we all heard it, because we all cringed when we heard him. Did he actually say that? No, he didn't say that.
And as I said, that was that was the only thing mainstream fans talked about after that show. They didn't talk about any of the matches. They talked about Matt Riddle.
So MLW is getting the eyes for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
that's the last thing we wanted, for the wrong reasons.
And the problem is a lot of people are then saying basically, I told you so, that MLW has always been a trash fire, and here it is again. And the sad thing is I have to sit in this situation. I have to sit here and just go.
And agree. Yeah.
I can't argue with you, bro. Up until this point, I'd be no, dude. You can say whatever you want, but things are on an upswing. The matches are amazing. They're turned a corner with bringing XYZ and here. But yeah.
All I have to say is this, and I'm gonna take the broom, and I'm gonna be the bad guy now of what you said. And me being the bad guy is saying, Matt Riddle, all the stuff that has happened has been allegations. He hasn't been, he's been accused of stuff. He hasn't been, charged for anything. He hasn't been arrested for anything.
Okay.
It's all his word against her word. We saw one video of what happened with the TSA incident, that was the last straw with WWE. But WWE still had him on the contract when all the allegations were going on.
Yeah.
They suspended him. They didn't suspend him, but he wasn't being shown for a while. He came in with an injury in the meantime where all that stuff was being done. Yeah. And once everything died down, he got brought back like nothing ever happened.
So and he got more over. He got more over for a while because of it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
not because of it.
Swept it under the rug too. So you know they rubbed it under the rug.
And again,
allegations. Nothing has come out of allegations, and the TSA thing was the last straw.
Yeah, and as I said, like, at this point, like you've already brought him in, like the black eye is not on Riddle himself, exactly. and really the outrage was towards Striker and his comments, basically sweeping everything, trying to like publicly sweep everything under the rug. You know,
and what's going to happen now, if he got fed the lines or he went on his own, is going to fall on Striker. Period. So something has to be done with Striker, or Kurt Bauer has to come out with something and say, you know, he can't let this just sit by and let it simmer anymore. He has to come out with some. I understand what happened, but I needed time to think, and you know, through the process, talk to our lawyers and stuff like that, and make some kind of statement and go from there. But he cannot not do anything. He has to do
the silence is just as damning as letting Striker go off like that.
Exactly. He needs to do something. He just can't let it just. Well, I'm gonna let time just take it and see what happens. WWE was also guilty because they kept them on the roster through all this stuff. They the same thing with the Velveteen Dream when all the allegation stuff came out. They kept them there for a while, and you know, till they finally suspended him and fired him because they, you know, he wouldn't go
for other things essentially. Yeah, and again, and I guess here's my equivalent of a silver lining, but my silver lining is actually bringing everybody else down to the process. Like if we are going to look again, okay, this is closer to a broad statement that wrestling just needs to be cleaned out in general.
Yeah.
But if we're going to look at people who've had serious allegations of sexual misconduct, pretty much every major company in America has had is currently employing someone with varying degrees of accusations against them. You know, whether it's the WWE, which they had Dream, they had Riddle, which they eventually let them go. They had to totally dismantle. Yeah, but we overlook like AEW, who hired Ric Flair after all the things that had come out about Flair.
Yeah,
Darby Allin is still very well pushed given his allegations. New Japan, like they really don't care about that kind of stuff because they signed Riddle, but they also allowed Chase Owens, and Michael Elgin only got fired over there because he got caught stealing stuff.
Stealing.
So like they didn't care about that stuff. Yeah. So I mean, again, like I've hijacked it, and for the purposes of this rant, the rant is surprisingly not. It's about Riddle, but the outrage is not from Riddle himself. That is how I will clarify the statement, and that is about as close to a silver lining as we're going to get out of this situation.
Yes.
But I think we've brought things down enough, and we've kind of beaten a dead horse at this time. Like, so like maybe
so on that note,
I will promise to try to do better in the future. No, no promises there. I will. If something hits my serious button, like I will continue to have the serious talk about it. But that being said,
you spoke about something that bothered you, and you were genuine with what you said, and I agree with everything that you said. No one can say anything like, "Oh, you know, this guy's always talking crap." I don't know. You touched on something that bothered you, and you went and said what you said. That's fine. Yeah. That's what we do here.
There's chunks of things like I can call that are part of a character or an online persona, but like that, like that we had to drop the curtain for that one, ladies and gentlemen. And so here's a good segue into the socials. So whether you agree with us, disagree with us, let us know. Hit that go in the comment section and let us know what an idiot I am, or no, you're a great social justice warrior. Hit us up on the Twitter at me at the N.W.A Cast, Urban Wrestle NW. Of course, also hit the like and subscribe button over here as well. Get those noties on so whenever we happen to drop a new episode. We are, like I said, all the socials. We have merch hidden away somewhere in the links as well. Check out old episodes. We got the MLW Confusion podcast that drops every Friday, regardless of how much stuff MLW actually throws out during the week. Last week, you got a free preview of the athome.exe podcast, which is usually Patreon exclusive. Muffins has got 10 pounds of gold. You still rocking that now that you're off
Yes,
the holiday break?
Next week is still coming. Yep.
So we're bringing that back at you. A lot of stuff to consume, whether it's here on the YouTube, whether it's wherever you get your podcasts, Twitter. I'm on Threads. I'm on Blue Sky now. Muffins is on Twitter. All that sort of good stuff. So thank you guys for listening to us right along incoherently for the last hour. We do appreciate it, and we will catch you all next time.
Deuces.